Basically, I would like to talk about rapes, considering that it's a very important topic right now in India because, okay, the idea of Onourem is great, but even after having changed the mindsets, changing mindsets have been going on for centuries, and still we see through graphs that rapes prevail. So basically, I have a very vague idea, but the solution might as well work, because when we talk about rapes, it's basically some people expressing their sexual desires. So when we talk about sexual desires, they're not able to express their sexual desires on one particular person, so they do it on somebody who's without consensus. So basically, the idea that I propose is that if we could amend governmental policies and if we could legalize prostitution. That's a very vague solution, but thinking about legalizing prostitution would allow them to express their sexual desires not in somebody without their consensus, but in somebody with their consensus. Because even after everybody thinks that prostitution is bad, agreed that it's not a good thing to promote, but if we see that having like making love to somebody isn't bad, because if we talk about drugs, that's a completely different thing. Because if you might say that if you legalize prostitution, you might just legalize drugs, but these are two different things. Because today society accepts you doing reproduction, but that does not allow you to have drugs. So what I'm talking about is that if you legalize prostitution, which in a way is not bad, because even if somebody does reproduction, he wouldn't go to another person and say that yes, I'm planning to have a child. But that's completely different, because a mindset is set in the society today. So if we legalize prostitution, these people who want to express their sexual desires might as well just do it legally and not do it without consent of with consent of a lady. Because even if we see that it's an occupation, it's been happening in India for centuries, and I don't think so there's any way we can stop it. So if we just legalize it and think of it in this way, it might as well just help the society.
Then just adding on to this point, what I could comprehend from your thing, as you mentioned, the solution. So comparing the rapes problem in India with USA, like you point stand out of every 5 rapes, 1 has been dead. So one more challenge I would like to give is in every 4 minutes, 1 rape happens in India.
True.
So the problem, the scale of which we are comparing the problems in India is a very big scale. So not to every problem there is a holistic solution.
Correct.
Right? So what he proposed was a partial solution, because a problem of rapes in India is a very big problem. And not to every problem you can't cut it down in one half.
Perfect.
Okay, so if they get a part which partially cuts down, so if they decrease the problem, that's again a solution.
मेरा ये स्पष्ट मत है कि रेप के बारे में हम जो बातें करते हैं या हम यंग जनरेशन जो करने लगते हैं, वो बातें जो हम कर रहे हैं वो अभी भी सिर्फ शब्दों में ही है। उसको अंदर में समझने में और आपके और मेरे इनको खुल के बताने में बहुत सारे शब्दों का और भावनाओं का गैप है। हमें कई सारे ऐसे सैकड़ों सेशन करने पड़ेंगे जब हम इनको ये बता पाएंगे कि सबसे पहले हम ये बता पाएंगे कि व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ माइंडसेट अलोंग विद द रेप। क्योंकि रेप होना, रेप करना और रेप के बाद क्या होता है, ये 3 एक ऐसी बड़ी चीजें हैं जिसको इन बच्चों को ये जानना जरूरी है कि रेप का माइंडसेट होना, उस आदमी का रेप कर देना और उस दौरान जो उस लड़की के साथ हुआ और उसके बाद उस लड़की की पूरी लंबी चौड़ी जिंदगी। वो 5 लोग जो कि जेल में थे, जिनके इंटरव्यू आप निकाल सकते हैं, लेकिन क्या वो निर्भया जिंदा बच जाती तो क्या आप उसका इंटरव्यू निकालते, क्या उसका इंटरव्यू बीबीसी पब्लिश कर पाती, और यदि बीबीसी उसका इंटरव्यू पब्लिश कर पाती तो मैं पहली ऐसी होती जो कि आपकी जैसी वेबसाइट खोलती और बोलती कि इंटरव्यू तो कम से कम पब्लिश नहीं करते, इतना कुछ कर दिया। तो हम कोर्ट में, उसके बाद मैं अजमेर के कोर्ट में जाती हूँ।
Is something which we know as refugee crisis. People have heard about that. Every country has its own refugee crisis. Many countries try to sort it out their own way. But so I would like to talk like what can be a potential solution to this. Is that because we, a country with the largest democracy, with the second highest or third highest population, I think second highest population. So because today in India many people are there, many families are there which which can't conceive, they go to adoption centers and adopt people. What we want is that we can try a similar approach to that. Like there are UNHRC camps many places. You can set up an adoption center there, have an online app where people can go search, just ask or just adopt him without any past background. You don't know the person's name, you don't know which religion he's from and what was he stuck in. You just get the boy delivered to you, and what can happen is that before the boy is delivered to you, there is a person who comes, checks whether you have the proper living conditions, you can support that child and all. So that is one thing which can be done to just to basically solve some of the refugee crisis. Why? Because today when boys, there are many boys who lose their families in an accident or something while being transported to any other country. So what can happen is that because they then find it the hard way that life's not easy, they go into thievery and all. This is a case where, and that's the reason why when these people grow up, they have a dominance. They think a dominance they have over the other weaker beings, and that's why many rape cases are also done in refugee camps. This is one potential solution by which we can solve this thing. So this is one thing. Another thing which I would like to talk about is there was a guy, he used to click those Polaroids. So every day he used to click one Polaroid and used to update it on his website. Nobody knew who he was, nobody knew what he did. The only thing happened that each day he used to set up a Polaroid and just upload it. He did this for 18 years and people used to follow his life throughout. Why? Because it was always a mystery who was this guy. So if we can have many initiatives like this, so we can have a story revolving around that, because that guy's story was that he used to enjoy life and in the end he died from cancer. We knew that, we came to know about that guy, we basically got to know much about him. So if we basically use this similar approach, click Polaroids, upload each photo on a website, then we can actually give a storyline which people want to follow. Why? Because today people like mysteries. Tomorrow you might not know what will he post. So that keeps you hooked on to that website. So these are two things.
I did not get the gist of the second part. So somehow what is the helping part? Like it serves what purpose?
The helping part is that, let's say if you take the key issue, let's say if you take a small issue that is you want to tell some people that your suicide is not only the thing. So what happens is that you can just have a story revolving around it. Like suicide is not the thing today. If you you can have quotes uploaded that resentment is like drinking poison. Keep these things talking about. So if the person is basically having problem, you can at least give him a supporting pillar where if it's not possible for him to find a supporting pillar anywhere. So these are two things. Now the third thing which I have is that I just read it on Facebook also. So there was one guy, he used an approach which nobody publicized it. It was just an article written somewhere long ago and forgotten. It was that somebody used a similar Facebook approach in life. So the third thing which I'll be talking about is the gist of people using social media too much. There are cases where you lose one eye. There are cases of one eye blindness when you lose basically your sight due to heavy addiction of phone. So what happened was that you also talked about, so there's something known as urban poverty. People basically spending their resources on futile things. To increase their popularity, they might not eat food and go spend that money to go on a trip. So these are some things which what can happen is that one potential thing you said was remove all that likes one is that thing. One thing was that remove the like, share, comment buttons. That was one thing which can be done, which is a good idea. Another thing,
they need to make money, so they would never remove those things.
Right. So what can happen is that there was the small article written that somebody tried to use Facebook's approach in real life. He used to follow people, snoop on their conversations, and used to say, I like that thing and that thing. So what happened?
Video on Facebook, right?
It wasn't a video, it was just a small quote somewhere. This can be converted into a video and can be shown the negative side effects of life. What he used to do was that he would just go to random people and say that I like you, I like your photo, you looking nice, and he used to show them that I'm eating this, I'm doing that. So what happened was after a few years he was put in a jail and there were 2 private investigators, a detective following him, and a psychologist. So if you converted this into a humorous tale, what happens is that people actually see that instead of this also happens in real life. You just send a random request to any person just because you know that if you post a picture that he will someday like that picture. So what this can be done was, this can limit what can happen is that this can at least teach the younger children that not everything you do is right on Facebook. You just can't send anywhere.
Mindset in terms of sexuality, talking about sex education and things like that, which are not common for students like us to hear. We get to know from other sources. There is rarely any adult who talks to us openly about that, and that is what creates sexual frustration. That is somewhere down the line root cause, because people are not aware. There have been instances when people share about CLC, as you've seen. So there have been people talking about when they could go to a pharmacy and talking to their chemist or the druggist. It is embarrassment for them to ask for something else, and people judge you because of your sexual preferences. So there should be awareness regarding education of sex, whether you have to do with contraceptive devices and nothing like that. You feel ashamed you feel ashamed going to a chemist and asking, you go weird names, you go shake hands with him, tell him like that. You have to tell him indirectly, because you can't tell him directly because you think people will judge you. The fear of people judging you because they aren't educated affects your own background. Therefore, I think that in schools from the base level, consider it 10th class, 9th class, people should be aware that this is normal. We are 1.4 billion people. It can't be that we are doing it without anything unnatural. Therefore, it is normal, and therefore children should be taught about it. There should be sex education. There should be benefits or whatever diseases, how to prevent yourself from diseases. That is all I had to say.
Very good.
Just adding on to this point, what you mentioned now was in this way. What you mentioned now was in this way only. The education system has made the sex education and your sexual preference a taboo for everyone here. And if we are proud about it, and if we just teach the people properly to not be ashamed of what sexual preference you have, it will have an effect directly on the rape cases. What happened in that area? Because earlier it was mentioned that the place where it's not considered that much of a taboo, the rape cases are less. So if our education system is in the way that teaches us properly and not indirectly what sex actually is, then it will also affect our mindset, and it will also affect the number of rape cases in that particular area.
My name is Pranav Khandelwal and I'm in class 8. I would just like to share a point by which we can improve the economy. The government can get big firms from other countries to work in our country. So when they work in our country, that would lead to more people getting jobs. Company sets up an industry in the country, a factory, then it will have to buy the goods from our country, and more people will get jobs. Something would happen with one of my friends due to social media. She loved singing, so she used to go online on Instagram and while singing. So one day, and she was also on Musical.ly. She used to post her videos on Musical.ly. So a director saw her singing and he liked her, so he called her to the studio and she sang there. The video was uploaded to YouTube, and then it got many views and all. But then her account was hacked, and there were absurd talks going, and many wrong things were being sent to people, being posted on Google and all. So that led to depression. Like she came in depression and she was upset. She could not focus on her studies and other things. So people should be aware of the problem on social media and how it is good also.
I'm Krish Garg of 8th standard. I would also be speaking about the mindset, because it is the mindset that matters. You talked about the street play Goons. I went there and we basically showcased that it is the mindset that matters, because there are problems in life, but it's the mindset. Our problems will also be solved. If we don't have a good mindset, we just become a rush, and what the other people are doing, we just do it, and we don't think that whether it is right or wrong. In our street play, we showcase that there were 5 people, and then 4 of them said wrong thing, but and all of them encouraged them that this is right, and the person which said the right thing, that was put down, and that he is not right. And rather than producing just one leader, like one leader is leading the group, that is fine. Then he should produce some leaders out of that group, because then if he goes, then the group would fall. ये देश अब एक भीड़ बन चुका है, इसको अब एक गूंज बनना चाहिए और लोगों को अपनी आवाज उठानी चाहिए कि जो भी उन्हें लगता है कि वो गलत है, ना कि जो लोग कर रहे हैं सिर्फ उसे देखकर तुम वो कर रहे हो, ना तुम देख रहे हो कि भाई वो सही है या गलत है.
The first problem which I believe is making rounds in the current world is the losing your face. I mean, your individuality is somewhere getting lost into the oblivion. All right. Perhaps on one hand we are trying to become a narcissist. All right. On one hand we are also trying to become a mob culture. All right. Maybe because of the advent of too much of social media, or too much of this inclination towards getting attention, grabbing attention. Because of all this, perhaps we are somewhere down the line are losing our individuality. Because of which, another thing is that there's this effect called domino effect. All right, domino effect is something in which one thing leads to another. So because of which, when our individuality is lost, we are actually sightless. We don't know now which way we are supposed to head. All right, we then start following mob culture, which is what is happening very much these days over Facebook, Twitters, and other social networking sites. I mean, if someone has posted a particular thing, and if that particular person hasn't got many likes or so, what Bhavya raised and an issue that he raised recently, if he's not getting enough likes or comments which is favorable for him, he or she kind of gets, these days it is seen, he or she slips into some kind of depression. And on the other hand, if a particular person has posted a particular person of repute in particular, if he or she has posted a particular thing on a social networking site, and we are lagging behind in commenting, in making a suitable comment, and we are also choosy about that particular comment. If that comment is simple, oh nice, wonderful pic, beautiful pic, we are falling behind somewhere. It has to be something different. It has to be something catchy, so that we can come into the good books, or we can grab the attention of that particular person. So it is one thing which I believe it might not sound very big a problem today, but then we are heading towards a generation, we are heading towards a culture which might actually land up, in which we might land up in ruining our own life, in our own identity, and then we will, we will land up in a state where we will forget our own culture, where we will forget our own state of mind. Forget about culture. By culture, I don't mean the Hindu culture, Muslim culture, whatever. I am trying to talk about the work culture, the work ethics, and how we behave as an individual in a group. All right. Even if we are in a group, we got to make our presence felt through something positive, through something creative, not in this way. All right. This was one thing which came to my mind just when Bhavya was talking about Facebook and other things. So I wanted to talk about this. The more important topic which I wanted to talk to you about is, recently these days we have a prize giving competition, prize giving function coming up towards the end of the month of November. And the theme for this year's prize giving is sustainable development. Now, sustainable development has 17 goals. All right. And it's a very gloomy picture. It's a very melancholic state of affairs that India, we are talking so big about this sustainable development thing. And it is good that we are now talking about sustainable development goals, because recently, in a recent report, it has been found out that India is ranked 116 out of 150 countries in this rank of achieving the sustainable development goals. So it's a very sorry state of affair. And in that sustainable development goals, all the issues that the kids have raised so far are somewhere inculcated and included in that. One big issue is, crime against women. That is also one of the goals imbibed in some larger issue. Gender equality, yes, gender equality, which entails many things, which entails problems like women education, which entails things like crime against women again. All right, and other than that, there are many other things: zero corruption, zero hunger, and education for all. There are many things, but yes, it is a true fact. Yes, it's a fact that India as a country has lagged so far behind that it has come into the category in the rank of 116, and rightly so. Rightly so, because we are far away from achieving the target of zero hunger. We are lagging years behind from achieving the target of complete education because we are not ready to educate. Because we as a society, we as individuals are not ready to adapt that thing into us. All right, we are not able to adapt that changes in education. By education, I not only mean the literal facet of it. The literal facet of it can be dealt with, but what is real education is completely different. Yes, education and literacy, I believe, are completely different things, isn't it? I mean, a person has to be educated to make the right choices. In India, most of the people are not, because of which the mean-minded politicians are reaping rich dividends. And somewhere down the line, it's a feeling, and I believe most of us would agree to it, that the politician, whatever good picture they portray just before the elections, they do not want the masses to be aware, to become aware. The moment the masses become aware, they would know what their rights are. They would know what their choices are. They would know what is good and what is bad for them. And that is where we are lagging behind. We need not get into politics. We need not get into IS, like you said moments ago. We need not get into any other forum as such. We as a community, we as individuals can get down on the ground level. We need to find the true meaning of education, and then perhaps, because we all are educated, we know certain amount of, we can deal with certain amount of literacy. All right, if we are ready to impart, that kind of education, that kind of literacy to children who need it the most. All right, maybe the real outcome of this education, the real success of this education, what we are delivering in a college like Mayo College today, would be if these children tomorrow pass out of the college and they, apart from all their financial activities, business and all, if they can impart and they can take out a bit of their time and get on to the ground levels of them who need their services the most, would be the best thing in my knowledge. And that is where the changes will start happening. All right, once you get down to work yourself, because no drain can be cleaned till you get down onto it and you start cleaning it by yourself.